Urmează un panel foarte interesant despre cum construiești un brand de destinație bazat pe o viziune de țară. Sesiunea este moderată de Dragoș, Anastasiu, General Manager Eurolines, iar exemplele vor veni din Grecia, țara unde turismul este practic motorul economiei și țara unde, să recunoaștem, ne place foarte mult să mergem vara în vacanță, și Slovenia, unde turismul este altfel abordat, este subordonat unei viziuni mai largi. Veți afla detalii despre aceste modele total diferite și foarte interesante de la Timotei Șoș, Deputy Head of Mission în cadrul Ambasadei Sloveniei la București, please, și Iorgos Stafilakis, directorul biroului local al Organizației Naționale de Turism din Grecia. Domnilor, suntem ochi și urechi. Dragoș, ai legătură.
Mulțumesc, mulțumesc mult. Bună dimineața și din partea mea și primul gând pe care vi-l transmit este că arătați super fine. E destul de rar când la o întâlnire care are turismul în focus, sala e plină ochi. Fiecare, eu nu văd niciun poate acolo, unul. Și asta se întâmplă mai rar și cred că e meritul lui Mihai și al lui Felix, în special a Institutului pentru Destinații Vizionare, pentru orașe vizionare și destinația anului, și am făcut combinația dintre cele două, că au trezit acest interes la voi. Felicitări pentru faptul că ați venit aici și că petreceți câteva ore și sper să ne inspirăm împreună. Și acum we will switch to English. Cei care au necesitate de traducere, aveți aici căști și vă invităm să le luați pentru că vom merge în limba engleză. O să-mi permit și o să mă așez. Good morning. So we'll switch to English. Thank you very much for being here in this probably best touristical destination in Romania, which is Brașov. We are very interesting to hear what happens with the vision in Greece, what happens with the vision in Slovenia. And we are not talking only about the touristical vision of the destination, but also about the country, because I think the two ideas are coming together. We cannot have a vision for a destination when we don't have a vision for a country, okay? Maybe, or maybe not. You will tell us. We start with countries. We need a vision for any destination, for the local destination, for the regional destination, for a country destination, but also for Europe, because people around the world can go to Europe, can go to Asia, or somewhere else. But to build a vision, it's more or less the same if we are talking about a local destination or a country destination. So, let's start with Slovenia. Timotei, you were part of a process in Slovenia where you built a vision for the country. Tell us something about this.
Thank you, Dragoș, and welcome to everyone. I apologize, my Romanian is not well enough to be able to address you in Romanian, but I hope we can do this way. Yes, we have been working and worked in a few projects in the past years in Slovenia, also dealing with not just a specific economic sector or social sector like a tourism, but on a national vision. And maybe it's fair to say at the beginning that talking about the vision, it's always a very provocative process. We heard the words provocative or provocations a few times this morning, but it is because you're always poking people with talking about big vision, because whenever you're talking about future too far in advance, people always come back to you with, what about now? What about my problem here and now? And this is what happens everywhere. I'm guessing it doesn't happen only when you do this on a national, all-encompassing 360-degree way, but even if you want to just do a vision of your own company, of your own destination, of your own tourism business, because you're always going to face, what are we dealing here, to like a presentism bias, they call it in the academic circles. But we embarked on a project a few years ago, and before we created a Slovenia development strategy, which we created for 2030. We created it for the purpose of national budgeting. It has its key performance indicators, specific numbers, but before we did that, we wanted to do a national vision. So before I speak about that, maybe just these three levels. We created this National Vision 2050. It's just one-page paper with some aspirations. Then we created a National Development Strategy 2030, and then on top of this National Development Strategy 2030, now several sectoral strategies are built. Among them also a national tourism strategy, which was adopted just a few months ago. It's when we can speak about that specific tourism one a bit later. But I don't want to take too much of our time this morning, so I thought to show a video. It's around 2 minutes that speaks a little bit about how we set up our national vision and what were some of our challenges. Yes.
Just shortly before that, pe scurt, înainte de asta, ați văzut că a apărut un cod QR. Ideea este așa, dacă scanați codul QR, o să vă trimită la o aplicație pe care puteți să puneți întrebările pe care le aveți în timpul conferinței. Iar apoi eu voi prelua aceste întrebări și invitații vor răspunde la ele, ca să fie cât mai... So it's just explaining the QR code for questions. Thanks.
Sure, yes, so now maybe we can watch this video, maybe we'll sit a bit on a side or something so everybody can see, and then we can continue this discussion.
We are biodynamic growers and goat keepers, living on the hill of Schinteie.
What is a vision? It's a view of the future that we as a society want to become. A strong and clear vision is necessary in a world where global trends affect everyone. The population in Slovenia, as well as around the world, is aging, which means that a diminishing workforce is supporting an increasing number of seniors. Regional instability and risks from climate change are emerging global trends. Technological disruption and rising inequality are immense challenges our society is already facing today. Since the beginning of the financial crisis, we have been especially affected by the slowdown in economic growth. Now more than ever, wise choices are necessary in order to take advantage of the opportunities offered by a globally connected, multipolar world where added value is shifting from manufacturing to services. All of these are significant global trends, but they alone do not determine our future. What really counts are people, our decisions, and our actions, guided by our common vision. A good vision considers everybody and benefits the greatest number of people and society as a whole. That's how the vision of Slovenia was created, with the input of different people from all parts of the country. In harmony with our environment and our era, we have achieved a balanced, high-quality standard of living. By learning throughout our lives, we are well equipped to take on the biggest challenges. We are innovative and translate ideas into actions. We create positive relationships based on trust and are building a society of solidarity and tolerance. With confidence, we open Slovenia to partners willing to cooperate. We are proud that our cultural uniqueness makes a difference around the world. If we want to understand how the elements of our vision fit together, this is the way we can imagine our future. The quality of life in Slovenia strongly depends on developing a high degree of trust and social innovations. This is possible in a society driven by learning for and through life and our Slovenian identity with its distinctive language and culture. To achieve our vision, change is necessary. What counts are our actions, by each and every one of us. Small steps that only in cooperation lead to attaining great goals. The future of Slovenia is in our hands.
So this was maybe just a very short recap of a longer process. It's just a video. It doesn't mean much in terms of a message, except that we worked with several months through a bunch of people around the country to kind of discuss about how to define quality of life. We are obsessed with green, with nature. 66% of Slovenia is covered by forest, and we value our private life. So we wanted to kind of build this in this sustainable manner. And this is how we continue also our tourism strategy.
How long did it take, the whole process?
So the vision process was about a bit more than 1 year, 14 months. And then for the strategy, it was another year. So altogether, 2.5 years for the strategy that was adopted in December 2017. And after that, sectoral strategies are coming.
How big was the budget for developing this, the vision?
Oh, well, the vision and the strategy budget itself, it's hard to just put one number. Why? Because while we were building this project, we created several analyses working with organizations like OECD and others that are later also useful for, I don't know, macroeconomic modeling or country branding analysis or different things. So the budget of a project was about 400,000 euros. But a lot of its parts are continued to be used, so it was not just for this. They are used in many other sectoral areas as well.
How many people were involved? How many institutions?
Well, there were all of the line ministries, all of the government institutions, all of the Chamber of Commerce, also unions, civil society, different groups, also youth, children. So we wanted to create a very small core team. Because we realize many times when countries do that, or governments or institutions, they create these little hubs or startup units, and that becomes like heaven on earth. You know, a bunch of people who are having a great time and everybody else has to do other stuff. We wanted to do something else. We wanted to have a small team of about 8 to 10 people who will only connect others and then engage others as much as possible. So it was a wide range of engagement. About 10,000 people came across different workshops, and here we are not counting every people that were consulted on questionnaire level. You know, that was more mass.
Okay, can you tell us in one sentence what is the vision of Slovenia 2050?
Yes, so it is the high quality of life, as you saw here in the center, but this is built on trust, and then at the same time, it is also built on social innovation and learning for life. And it's also kind of put in the context of our cultural and national identity. So this is in short, but in 2 words, it's just quality, high quality of life, which is a balance. Because maybe just to explain high quality of life, when we looked at Slovenia on objective well-being levels, we are OECD member, we rank top 30 or 35 in many areas across the world, environment, GDP, different areas. But when you ask a citizen in Slovenia, how is life? How do you feel? Like, how do you like your life? People don't usually say that nice things, you know? So we look at that and we are like, why are people feeling they're so unhappy while objectively looking, there's so many great things. So that then we started focusing on this well-being as a whole, and also starting to discuss how are we gonna make our lives better in a way that we also see that our lives are good, not just when we measure them objectively. So we started focusing on subjective levels a lot as well. out of this came several projects. For example, Slovenia just started working very, very intensively on the mental health project and a national strategy on mental health, because this has become a big problem even before the pandemic, and pandemic has revealed cracks in this area as well. So there were few points that we needed more acceleration than others.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's come quickly from the country vision to the touristical vision and strategy. What can you tell us about this?
Yes, so we started building our brand I Feel Slovenia before we started working on the tourism. So about 20 years ago, we decided that we have our own flag and our national symbols, but we want also a country brand. We are not Italy or we are not France with several hundreds of years of specific brands, so we needed to build that. So we built I Feel Slovenia brand with green, maybe you have seen it. Also discussed a lot about it, researched a lot about it, and then tourism adopted it first. And so our strategy is now built on this. It is about Slovenia to be a green boutique Slovenia that brings the balance of low carbon society and sustainable development. This is in short, and of course, this is now tackling some challenges. For example, our tourism, when we were building our strategy just this year, we had 3 scenarios, going even more into the quality like a boutique, or going more to the mass tourism, or the third scenario that we named something more and much better. So it was a bit balanced. We said we would still like to grow tourism in general. This is something more, but we would like to grow a lot more, much better, our boutique tourism. So we are a small country, just 2 million people, and we realized that that going deeper than higher would be a better way for us to go.
Okay, so let's come from Slovenia to Greece. From the touristical point of view, you cannot compare. It's something else, something totally different, also from Romania.
Yeah.
But tell us something about the vision and strategy of the tourism in Greece.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to this very interesting conference. I'm happy to contribute. The question about the vision is a really difficult question to be answered in one sentence. I have prepared a small presentation, if we have it, because this question is actually connected with the history of the economic development of Greece and also the contribution of GNTO, of the Greek National Tourism Organization, to this development. So, the tourism development in Greece and the contribution of GNTO. GNTO was founded in 1929. In 1936, it was replaced by another administrative organization. The vision for tourist development was part of the national vision for modernization of the economy. At the time, that was the vision, to modernize. That was the vision also in Europe. That was the trend, let's say. We started with 160,000 tourists in 1937, as early as 1937. After 1949, we have a really more complete plan for tourist development. And tourism becomes a strategic choice for the economic development. At that time, the choice was made that Greece will take that direction, that tourism will be a central development activity for development. GNTO was re-established in 1951 and became the main vehicle for tourist development with a skilled technical department as well as many other departments. This department actually created, designed and built hotels, hostels, marinas, road network, ski center, golf courses, spa centers, restoration, it did restoration works on monuments, etc. So it was a huge developmental, let's say, activity carried out by the GNTO. GNTO designed and produced all the advertising material, posters, movies, publications. We had movies even since the 20s that were projected in the theaters of the time, the cinemas of the time. Organized events and festivals. Even GNTO acted as a tourism agency, organized bus tours and cruises. So GNTO and the Greek state in general pushed the tourism development and also pushed the private sector to invest in tourism. You can imagine that it was only GNTO at one point that actually did something, organized trips, promoting tourism, and the private sector followed. Greece was established in the world map of tourism and reached almost 2 million until 1970. So our conclusion is that GNTO was the main driving force for the tourism development in Greece in the early stages, and private sector followed. The private sector has now a high level of expertise, of course, and has a leading role, but the support of GNTO and the public sector are still, either national or local level, are still instrumental. So we have the vision, but we have the evolution of the vision. Vision is something alive. It's something that follows the society. It's something that is created by the society, by the people, and it's changed. It can be changed in time. So the vision of the modernization of the economy in the 20s, that was the first vision. The strategic development of tourism and the vision for Greece to become a world-famous tourism destination. And the same vision is constantly enriched and includes now the increase of private investments, the continuous improvement of the tourism services, the expansion in new markets, etc. Now, what are the objectives today? Let's say, what is the Ministry of Tourism of Greece is thinking and planning today? The main, let's say, axes are those. There are also many other aspects that I did not include here, but let's say that the main are those. The promotion of Greece as a tourism destination for the whole year. Upgrade and modernization of tourism education and training. This is very, very important in all levels of education. Development of the unique identity of the tourism product and improvement of its competitiveness. And of course, the promotion of sustainable tourism development, which is absolutely necessary for the time, for the era that we are now living. So thank you very much. That was the main presentation.
Thank you very much, Georges. Let's come back. Well, first of all, thank you very much. First of all, we see that in order to achieve something, you need a vision. Okay?
Of course.
You need a target. And you had a vision 1920 that tourism must become the main sector of the country. This is a vision. And to become the best destination in the world, and so on and so on. But the first vision was a strategic sector for the country. Okay?
Of course.
So we have two examples. Let's talk a little bit about Romania. Okay. You have experience in your countries. We see, in order to have a good vision and strategy for tourism, we need a country vision. Maybe, first of all. So, Romania, it's another story, another country, another history, and so on and so on. And I know it's difficult to give advice. But if you would be in a decision position in Romania, what would you think to do with the tourism vision in this country? Because you saw a little bit of Romania, not a little bit more, you too, you have experience. So, talk a little bit about this. Just very free, I know there is no advice to give, but what would you do?
Well, maybe at the beginning, so it's great to have a vision, even though it's provocative, but you know, it's vision without the realization. They say it's only hallucination. So at some point, you need to come from hallucinations to actual doing it and making it happen. So vision is needed, is the basis, but it's not enough. And I think the main thing, I would just give one main key word. It is collaboration. It is working together, you know, because tourism, it's a system. It's a complex system, and I think today's conference, it's about destination management. It's about bringing things together, because you can have a great sub-niche, like a great accommodation or a great attraction, but if it doesn't come together, if you come to a ski resort where the hotel is not connected to the ticket you buy, to the other activities that you have for different needs, then it's much, much, much harder to create macro-looking good business. So I would say I've experienced a lot of great specific, let's call them experiences. They can be accommodations or museums or whatever, but sometimes you only wish, oh, if they work together even more, so you didn't need to just go one by one, but you could kind of have them together. So I would say collaboration.
So your first idea is collaboration. Power of togetherness. Okay. Judges, what's your first idea?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question, of course, to be answered by me. I don't consider myself an expert in the Romanian tourism product, but I really admire this country. I love this country. I think it's very beautiful, and it's a pity that not to do things, not to try to do things to promote this country. Well, I think it's a big process. I think, of course, collaboration is the main thing. I have seen it also in Greece, that in many areas we've seen that some areas we see that there is collaboration between the different factors, the different stakeholders, let's say, and in other areas there isn't. So we see the difference on the results. It's very clear.
Including the private sector.
Including the private sector. I mean, in Greece, it's important. I have seen it, and I have communicated many times also with people when I'm speaking with them, that it's important to collaborate, private sector, public sector, everybody. There are areas that have, you know, they understand, they feel that their area is important and they want to do things about it, and they don't care about how much they contribute to it, to this effort. There are leaders in many areas. Not everyone is capable of doing things or willing to do things. Always there are heroes and leaders everywhere. So I think that it's the point where you see the difference is when you have collaboration, when private sector, public sector are collaborating, they have you know, certain levels, either official collaboration or not official, even unofficial collaboration, but there is collaboration. And then in these cases we see great, amazing results.
Okay, thank you very much. More or less the same first idea is that we have to bring things together.
Of course.
And this is the only way to do it. Mihai, if we have questions, but before the questions, I have a last difficult question, I know. But how is the image of Romania in Slovenia? And we expect a very sincerely answer.
No, well, it's not so difficult question. It's actually very, I think that Romania doesn't have a realistic image in Slovenia or abroad. It's just a very niche view, the way, you know, by a big coincidence, Slovenia experiences Romania, you know. So it's actually, I would say it's not an image, it's actually more invisible, you know. I would say it's not even a bad image, it's more, there's no image, you know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What about Greece? What do Greek people think about Romania?
You know that Greeks love Romania, especially those who have visited Romania. There are also many others that don't know anything about Romania. There is a division there, you know.
So the people that didn't come to Romania, so what do they think about Romania?
I would agree with my colleague that there is not a clear image of Romania in Greece.
Okay, so
Nobody has constructed an image and tried to create it, you know, and build on it.
And this is the biggest opportunity of Romania, that we don't have a bad image. We don't have an image. Mihai.
Yes. O să citesc întrebările în română și în engleză. We have many questions.
Not so much time.
Nu avem foarte mult timp, avem multe întrebări. Unele dintre întrebări necesită răspunsuri de cel puțin jumătate de oră. Așa că o să selectez doar câteva care să fie punctuale. Pentru for team. When you mentioned trust in the strategic vision, did you mean internal trust among Slovenians or also external trust?
Well, when we discussed about the vision, we dealt with ourselves more than with outside, of course. So we did it could be a separate session analysis of how much do we trust? How much do we trust? Not just government, local government, you know. In Slovenia, the biggest trust in public sector is for the firefighters. For example, out of everyone, police, local, global, we are really like, the biggest trust is the firefighters because we have a great network of them develop and they take a lot of social roles too, not just putting down fires, but taking kids to remote places to school or something like this. And then we discussed also about why is trust so low. And we then researched something in theory, it's called generalized trust. This is, what is my ability to trust? So Dragoș can be the best person in the world, but if my ability to trust is low, doesn't matter how great he is, because I don't have ability to trust him. This means that even if you have a magic wand and have the best, I don't know, like people used to like to complain in Slovenia, we complain about politicians a lot. But even if we created politicians out of a Disney movie perfect, we still wouldn't trust them because our ability to trust is low. And this is because of generations of, you know, bad experiences. So we realize even if this happens, we need to build this trust. And how this trust is built, it is by having experiences together. If I have opportunity to have experience, do something together with Dragoș, we will both be given a chance to start trusting each other, and more of these experiences, you know, not all experiences go well, but mostly we will have the opportunity to build this trust. But imagine this also on a societal level. It's, you know, we are talking about this macro level. Yes, so we dealt with that a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. For Georgios, which are the members of the Greek National Tourism Organization? So how is it, what is the mode of organization?
The Greek National Tourism Organization is a public sector organization which is, let's say, on the scheme of government, is under the Ministry of Tourism.
How independent is this organization? It's a public organization. How about independency?
The level of the independency that a public organization can have inside the public sector. So it has.
It was a complicated answer.
Yes, it has an independency. It has collaborations, but also it is, you know, a part of the structure, right? So, but if you're asking about the ministry, yes, there is, I think, a very creative relation between the two, because the ministry is actually responsible for legislation and planning, and the Greek National Tourism Organization is responsible for the action. It's the
and how do you interact
with
the private sector? How is the way of interacting with the private sector?
Well, the interaction with the public sector is in many
with the
private sector is in many levels. There is also an organization made from the private sector, like a private GNTO, let's say. Not the same organization, has many differences, but it was made by the hoteliers. Also, there are, you know, other, you know, conferences, and there is a constant communication now, because the private sector has the technical expertise in many levels. So it's impossible not to have a constant collaboration, communication with them. So it's in many levels, let's say. I think that says everything.
Thank you very much. Mihai?
And the final question, I'm trying to summarize a lot of other questions in one. And essentially this is how much? How much is investing in 1 year Slovenia and Greece in promoting their country abroad?
The budget in 1 year, promoting budget.
Okay, so we have a similar setup, Slovenian Tourist Agency, who is implementing the strategies and legislation. Their annual budget is 18.6 million euros. So 2.9 million for their operations and about 15.7 million euros for promotion. Partly is a national budget and maybe just an interesting model. So in Slovenia, as also in Romania, we have a tourist tax, right? And tourist tax is set by each municipality. And municipality needs to determine, usually minimum is €1, but it can go in Ljubljana as up to €4.50 per night. And 15% of every tourist tax is a promotion part that needs to go to the National Tourism Organization for promotion. So a municipality keeps 85% for its development and regional development, and 15% of the tourist tax goes to promotion. So partly the budget of national promotion is also coming from this promotion tax. The tourists don't see this, they only pay 1, but 15% of it is taken away, just as a concept maybe.
Wonderful. What about Greece?
Well, don't expect a number from me, because it's very, very difficult. Actually, there are so many stakeholders, so many players.
How many tourists do you have in 1 year? How many people are coming to Greece?
Look, let's if we take 2019, which
Yes.
was a good year, it was more than 30 million.
30
million.
How big is the population of Greece?
Around 10 million.
10 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 times.
3 times more, yeah.
Okay.
But
And
it
for
wasn't
that-
always like that, you know.
And for
it wasn't
that we have
always
to
like
invest.
That.
You have
it wasn't
to
always
invest.
like that, as you saw.
Yeah. But you have to invest money in that.
Look, tourism is very important for Greece. We say it's around 20% of the GDP, but it's even more in reality, because I mean everybody is in tourism, either directly or indirectly. In Greece, is a touristic country. I mean, it's everywhere.
Thank you very much. So our time is over. We can spend here hours.
But one follow-up question though. So we know about investing, you know, how many millions in Slovenia and gazillions in Greece. We don't know how much exactly.
Not really.
Gazillions, but millions also.
I will take you an example. Our office, we did, just an example. Sometimes you just have to be creative and not spending money. We did 25 info trips in 2019. We gave money for like 5 of them. All the others we did with what we said before, collaboration. Okay, finding the mutual benefit for all the players, for everybody.
Okay, great. So
and also I wanted to say something also connected with the previous question. In Greece, it's not only the public sector that has a budget. It's not only the central public sector. It's also the municipalities, the regions, of course the private sector, organizations. There are organizations of the private sector that do promotion in many areas.
So everybody gives money for the national level of promoting.
No, I mean, they have their own budget and they do their own promotion.
They do that, but they also give money for the national budget?
The national budget is the national budget given by the government, given by the...
100% by the government?
The public, you mean in the public sector, you mean? Of course. There is a budget in the public sector, in the government, in the GNTO and ministry, let's say, level. There is a budget of the regions. Every region has its budget, which is also a decision of the people of the region, right? I mean, some regions have a very advanced department of tourism, some others don't.
Thank you very much.
Just this follow-up question, which is this: how do you measure the return on investment? For how do you measure actually the results?
What are the metrics? Difficult question. How many nights we have in the country, probably, or how much money they spend in the country?
You cannot just measure return on investments on the promotion itself, right? So return on investment, you can measure it with nights, with also, we try not to measure how many nights per tourist, but how much euro is spent per tourist, and how much, there's one number, what percentage of GDP it comes, but also there's also this number, what percentage of the export services, for example, you know. So, you know, if for us, 2019, which was a record year, it was 10% GDP only, but it was 33% of the export services in Slovenia that were related to the tourism. This is what my colleague from the Greece also said. It's not just the GDP, export services is much, much higher number. If there's this 30, then services is probably much, much higher, right? So this is how you measure, but it's collective, you know. One thing is promotion, one thing is what you offer on the ground, one thing is, you know, other external factors. So all together on a macro level, you can measure it, but it's kind of fragmented, it's a complex system.
So thank you very much, Timothy. Thank you very much, Georgios. My last conclusion, or the conclusion could be, first of all, we need a vision. Second conclusion is this is not enough. The third conclusion is we need money, but not only money, and there are ways to do that with money, but also without money. And we need collaboration. We have to be together in order to achieve something when we have a goal. First of all, we should have a vision and a goal. Thank you very much.